First Contact with Joshua Pope.
Hello, Earthlings. How you doing? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Today is Friday. It is the 3rd of November, 2017 on the Jewish calendar. Today is a little different. It is the 14th day of Cheshvan, the year 5778. From an astrological energy standpoint, our sun sign is still in Scorpio. We're at 11 degrees. Got to get to that 30-degree mark before we switch over to the next sign. So our mind and our conscious mind is dealing with things of an emotional nature, deep buried emotions. Our moon sign, the unconscious mind, has moved now into Taurus. Being an earth sign, we could see it's just past the beginning stage of Taurus, but we know it's going to move through there pretty quickly, as things do when they get with the moon phase. Let's take a look at some of the things we're looking at. Scorpio right here is a reminder, the tarot card of death. Everything about this is emotions, transformations that are taking place. It's on the emotional level. The number of this card, 13, represents unity and love. This is not about physical dying. It's about an emotional situation that we go through that causes us to have a transformation in our lives. When this is Taurus, this is where our moon sign is. It's a spiritual teacher. Part of the lesson here is trusting the spiritual teacher, trusting that guidance. But we have to learn to differentiate between the voices and the voice. There's a very big distinction that's out there. It's important that we recognize it. Okay, so that's what we're going on with right now. We are dealing with water and we're dealing with earth. As I go through and I progress over the course of this weekend, Saturday and then Sunday, we could see how the moon sign progresses. So by Sunday, it moves into an air sign where there's going to be a little bit more activity in our communication, but we're still dealing with things very deep. Scorpio, okay? That's the thing with Scorpio. Scorpio represents emotions, things pushed really deep. And right now we're going through situations in America and in the world where we're dealing with issues that we haven't dealt with in a while, things that have been buried quite deep. And as they come up, well, we could be affected in different ways. And the Mars aspect and influence it has upon Scorpio can be such that it can bring aggression if those emotions aren't dealt with properly. Well, we'll see. We've got a lot going on this weekend. Hopefully everyone will find a way to temper their emotions. Okay, so let's jump right into it. The stories we're going to do is just kind of a recap of what we've been going on over the course of this week. Tie those stories up because we don't want to let them dangle because there's a lot going on here. First and foremost, we have the dossier. A week ago, Hillary Clinton didn't know anything about the dossier until, of course, she finally admitted that, oh yeah, she did pay for it. Here it is. Clinton defends campaign funding for research in Steele dossier. Hillary Clinton on Wednesday defended her campaign's lawyer's decision to pay for research that showed up in the salacious dossier about Trump's ties to Russia. In an interview on The Daily Show, Clinton also dismissed any parallels between her campaign's use of opposition research and Russian election interference that may have benefited Trump. I think most serious people understand that, Clinton said in a clip of an interview with host Trevor Noah that was to air late Wednesday night. It was a research that started with a Republican donor during the primary, and when Trump got the nomination for the Republican Party, the people doing it came to my campaign lawyer. Clinton defended the approach that her campaign lawyer, Mark Elias, took to the work of Fusion GPS, a research firm that compiled the dossier about Trump before recruiting former British spy Christopher Steele to conduct more research. Fusion's work was initially paid for by the Free Beacon, a conservative news site. Okay, so yeah, the Republicans started to look into this. They wanted to see who Trump was, and then they stopped. Well, then Hillary picked it up, and there's been all kind of collusion and corruption. Now we have the information from Donna Brazil yesterday showing that Hillary had taken charge of the party, and basically Bernie was cheated. More information about the Uranium One deal. Very important to know this. Uranium One deal led to some exports to Europe, memos show. After the Obama administration approved the sale of a Canadian mining company with significant U.S. uranium reserves to a firm owned by Russian government, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission assured Congress and the public that the new owners couldn't export any raw nuclear fuel from America's shores. No uranium produced at either facility may be exported. The NRC declared in a November 2010 press release that announced the arms, a subsidiary of the Russian-owned Rosatom, had been approved to take ownership of the Uranium One mining firm and its American assets. A year later, the nuclear regulator repeated the assurance in a letter to Senator John Barrasso, a Wyoming Republican whose state Uranium One operated mines. Neither Uranium One Inc. nor ARMS holds a specific NRC export license in order to export uranium from the United States. Uranium One Inc. or ARMS would need to apply or obtain a specific NRC license authorizing the exports of uranium for the use in reactor fuel. Then NRC Chairman Greg Jasko wrote to Barrasso. The NRC never issued an export license to the Russian firm, a fact so ingrained in the narrative that the Uranium One controversy that it showed up in the Washington Post official fact-checker site of the week. We have noted repeatedly the extracted uranium could not be exported by Russia without a license, which Rosenstrom does not have. The Post reported on Monday, linking the 2011 Barrasso letter. Yet, NRC memos reviewed by the Hill shows that it did approve the shipment of yellow cake uranium, the raw material used to make nuclear fuel and weapons, from the Russian-owned mines in the United States and Canada in 2012 through a third party. Later, the Obama administration approved some of the uranium going all the way to Europe, government documents show. More to the article, but basically another lie. This isn't going to be shipped anywhere. It's not going to be exported. And guess what? Obama did opposite of what he said. No surprise there, right? No surprise there. The man speaks out of both sides of his face at the same time. Never know which way he is going. DNC is having a very bad week. This article says issues at the Democratic National Committee have reached a fever pitch as the organization struggles to gear up for the 28 and 2020 elections. Over the past week, the DNC has faced a number of bad headlines. Some of them include the DNC's dismissed top fundraiser after reporting anemic fundraising for months. In contrast, Democratic candidates independently have broken fundraising records, while the Republican National Committee has doubled down the DNC fundraising since beginning of the year. Another one, former interim DNC Chair Donna Brazile released an excerpt from her upcoming book in which she wrote that the Democratic primary had overtly favored Hillary Clinton over Senator Bernie Sanders, writing that her campaign was helping prop up the DNC's finances beginning in the mid-2015, which gave Clinton campaign the ability to influence the DNC. Brazile's story exacerbated the party tensions. Our Revolution president said, and DNC critic Nina Turner released a fundraising email about the DNC, say it was rigged all along. Sanders' former campaign chair told CNN that the behavior was egregious and undemocratic. And finally, we have on CNN, Senator Warren said Brazile's short story highlighted a real problem, saying she believed the 2016 Democratic primary was rigged in the favor of Clinton. She didn't say that before. I guess she decided she was going to have a difference of opinion. Again, for her part, current DNC Chair Tom Perez dismissed questions about Brazile's op-ed, saying the organization was taking steps to make sure the 2020 presidential primary was more fair. We're moving forward. We're building, Perez said during an interview on CNBC. One of my goals here at the DNC chair is to make sure that the nominating process for 2020 is a process that is totally fair and transparent for anybody. They're just trying to distance themselves from everything that's going on because of all the corruption. It's kind of silly to see what they're doing, but hey. So basically what happened is, from as far as I'm understanding, is Obama spent. The DNC was really in a problematic state. So Hillary Clinton stepped in, provided some money, and then decided that because of the money she had provided, that she was going to then take over the party, essentially. And all this time, Bernie Sanders was told he had a shot. Bernie didn't have a shot because Hillary Clinton had taken charge of the party before the nomination had even been secured. So essentially she had given it to herself, and all the while Bernie was just standing there with a dumb look on his face, just like it did on the night when he eventually sold out. Saw him sitting up there in the rafters of the convention. Looked like maybe someone had smacked him upside the head, figuratively or literally, and he had that guilty look on his face because, well, quite perhaps he had sold out. Now, just to give an example of how tone deaf and unaware the Democratic Party is to what's going on, you can't make this stuff up. Hillary Clinton was given a Democratic Woman of the Year award on the same day it was revealed that she rigged the 2016 primaries. Talk about out of touch. Hillary Clinton was awarded the 2017 Democratic Woman of the Year Thursday as an explosive tell-all about the how she secretly took over the DNC to rig the 2016 primaries, rocked the political world. The award was given by the Women's National Democratic Club in recognition of Clinton's extraordinary contributions to American politics and international affairs, as well as the inspiration she has provided to women and girls around the world. Extraordinary contributions to American politics? Well, that's one way of putting it. So there you go. So this organization, the Women's National Democratic Club, has just decided to name Hillary as give her award, Woman of the Year, for her cheating. So if you receive an award from this organization, feel proud to know that Hillary Clinton is also getting an award, and what she did to earn hers was lie, cheat, and steal. Great, great, great. Here's just a little old email snippet here in which Hillary Rodham Clinton is sending this across to Huma Abedin from H to Huma, asking her to print for me without any identifiers. Okay, right here it says confidential. She wants that removed. Just another example from the WikiLeaks emails of how fraud was taking place. Okay, so we've heard about one indictment so far, Paul Manafort, but would you believe me if I told you that there were others? Well, there are. Here we have, this tweet came from a couple days ago. U.S. District Court for D.C. has 4 sealed cases in its docket with case numbers between Papadopoulos 182 and Manafort's 201. Okay, so we don't know what these case numbers are, but here's the 201, which would be Manafort's. Papadopoulos, which would be up here, the 182. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 all sealed. 85, 90, 98, and 200. So whose are those? Who will be getting indicted? Who will be getting arrested? Very, very good question. We shall find out as the day moves on, but somebody will, because there are 4 more waiting to go. Let's hope that maybe we'll see the Podesta brothers arrested. Maybe we'll see Huma. Maybe things will even get to the point where we may see Hillary arrested. I know people think that may be hard to believe, but I'm holding out for that belief that we might see that miracle happen. Okay, remember the big march that took place in Washington, D.C. after the election? Yeah, you might have known people that even went out there and then told you how wonderful this was to be part of this event that was out there. Well, I knew people that were out there, and they bragged about what was going on and how wonderful it was. Oh, looks like the Russians set that up. As more information comes out on Russian influence operations in the United States, evidence is building that the dominant anti-Trump movement, the self-described resistance, has been used by Russia to stoke division and undermine the White House. After Trump's electoral victory, Russian cyber operations began focusing on fomenting discord and the validity of Trump's election. Facebook General Counsel Colin Stretch told the Senate Judiciary panel on Tuesday. Sean Edgett, General Counsel for Twitter, offered a similar assessment. During the election, they were trying to create discord between Americans, most of it directed against Clinton. After the election, you saw Russian-tied groups and organizations trying to undermine President Trump's legitimacy. Is that what you saw on Facebook? South Carolina Lindsey Graham asked Edgett and Stretch. Politico reported both Edgett and Stretch characterized Graham's remark as accurate. The weekend after Trump's election, thousands of people attended a left-wing anti-Trump protest in New York City that was secretly organized by Russian operatives, as released by the House Intelligence Committee revealed. Ha ha, that's all I can say to the people that were out there marching. I knew people that were out there that were marching, bragging, telling me all about it, telling me what an idiot I was for voting for Trump. Guess what? You people were out there marching because the Russians had done an influence. Talk about idiots. That entire group of people that were out there completely pushed around, influenced by someone else, not even their own thinking. It's very, very crazy. I had a big argument with someone after this. They told me all about this, and that was the last I've even spoken with that person because it was just such a crazy conversation. But I'm sure lots of you have had these kind of conversations because we have had to deal with people on the left following horrible advice and then acting upon that horrible advice or information. You ever have a conversation with someone who listens to CNN or MSNBC and you find out after you get conversing with them or maybe even during the course of it, how little they know about what's going on in the world? It's because they're not being told, which is sad. It's sad that people are being lied to, being misinformed, but even the thing that's even worse is that people are being fooled. Good people are allowing themselves to be fooled and are believing the lies. And that's the unfortunate part. What to do about it? Just keep moving on. Let the people who believe the lies, let them fall by whatever whatever happens to them, I suppose, until they figure it out. All right, switching gears over to Las Vegas. Here's a strange story. Lawyer for Las Vegas Music Festival and Jason Aldean, he was found dead. Well, we've had many other deaths of people who have seen things out there. Orville Alman, the lawyer representing Route 91 Music Festival, and Jason Aldean, the singer, on stage when the Las Vegas shooting began, has been found dead. He was 66. Alman, a prominent Nashville attorney, opened his private practice, Alman Law, in 2010, where he represented musicians and entertainment industry organizations during battles with the law. While his practice included negotiating existing agreements and new technology issues, he was renowned for negotiating with law enforcement. Recent social media posts suggested the experienced lawyer was feeling the strain of his latest high-profile case, describing meetings with MGM, Las Vegas Police, and the FBI as incredibly strange and complex. To one of his friends on recently made private Facebook threads, the attorney was privy to inside information that the FBI, by announcing they no longer withholding press conferences and the investigation is closed, have chosen to withhold from the public. Orville Alman, known as a straight shooting attorney for the many Nashville musicians he represents, has become the latest in a very long line of suspicious death and disappearances surrounding the Las Vegas shootings. Alman's death, described by local Nashville media as a seizure during sleep, mirrors that of Kimberly Socomel of Apple Valley. Okay, so weird coincidence. This is the second person who was involved somehow in the aftermath of the Las Vegas shooting. This was an attorney. The other was a witness who had described multiple shooters. And both of them have these seizures in their sleeps. You ever hear of people having seizures in their sleeps and dying? Because we've heard about now two of them around this particular incident, which is very bizarre in itself. Don't know what to make of that. Just find it very bizarre. Speaking of bizarre, GQ magazine, well, they should get the award for bizarre for the moment. I'm sure there'll be other bizarrities in a couple more moments. GQ throws a fit about Trump not wanting the death penalty for a dead man. Reporter, communicator, and deep thinker Jay Willis of GQ huffed and puffed as he asked, why does Donald Trump want the death penalty for the New York attack, but not for others? One of the others Willis singled out was Stephen Paddock, who slaughtered 58 concertgoers and injured hundreds more in Las Vegas last month. To Willis, the answer was obvious. the Allahu Akbar, my God is greater than yours, na 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 na, New York attacker was an immigrant, a dark-skinned, bearded Muslim who killed only 8 people, while the Las Vegas shooter who gunned down so many more was a native white male, white-skinned male privilege at its most ugly. No, as GQ was forced to admit in an update, and the edit says an earlier version of the article used a headline noting that Trump had publicly called for the death penalty in the New York attack, but not the Las Vegas shooting in particular. That discrepancy is probably related to the fact that the Las Vegas shooter is dead. We regret the error. Whoops, so much for journalistic thought. So much for the ability of the journalist to figure that one out. Decided he was going to get angry because President Trump wasn't calling for the death penalty for a guy who was already dead. Telling you, sometimes it's just mind-boggling to hear the thoughts that come out of people. Now, this weekend, as you've heard and as we've discussed, we've got this group of big babies, Antifa, who's going to be out there running around doing their circle jerks in cities across the country. So what we need to do is just let them leave them to their own devices, whatever it is they're going to do. They've got Soros money that's coming into their organization. They're nothing more than useful idiots who are out there being used and pushed by some individuals like Soros and the Podestas and those who do not have American values in mind. And they want to go out and they want to create chaos. And they have different strategies, one of which is they're going to go try to impersonate Trump supporters. And I guess maybe then they'll start beating each other up. I don't know. But they've threatened awful lot of violence. Here's an article right here. It begins. Antifa promises violent rallies in 20 American cities on November 4th. That's tomorrow, to remove Trump and Pence. This nightmare must end. It says the Trump-Pence regime must go to declare the opening lines of a full-page advertisement in the New York Times promoting mayhem and insurrection for this Saturday. Okay, here's the article. As you see, these guys are thinking they're against fascism when they themselves have become the very fascists that they claim to hate. And there you go. Okay, so read the article, links available, but just something we're going to have to deal with over the course of this weekend. But I'm sure we'll hear stories of lots of idiots getting arrested. Don't worry, I will be monitoring the situation and I will be tweeting out anything that comes across, so you just keep checking the Twitter feeds. First Contact Now is my Twitter. Okay, the Paris deal. We're switching gears again real quick. UN admits the Paris climate deal was a fraud. Oh no. What? Who could have seen this coming? There's a United Nations climate report that environmentalists probably don't want anybody to read. It says that even if every country abides by the great promises that they made last year in Paris to reduce the greenhouse gases, the planet would still be doomed. When President Obama hitched America to the Paris Accord in 2016, he declared that it was the moment that we finally decided to save our planet. And when Trump pulled out of the deal, he was berated by legions of environmentalists for killing it. But it turns out that the Paris Accord was little more than a sham that will do nothing to save the planet. According to the latest annual UN report on the emissions gas, the Paris Agreement will only provide a third of the cuts in greenhouse gas that environmentalists claim is needed to prevent catastrophic warming. If every country involved in these accords abides by their pledges between now and 2030, which is a dubious proposition, temperatures will still rise by 3 degrees Celsius by 2100. The goal of the Paris Agreement was to keep the global temperatures increase under 2 degrees. Oh no, this thing was a fraud? You mean the thing that we knew was a fraud, that we had to endure people telling us was real, that we had to listen to Al Gore and, all the brain-dead actors out there who decided that they were going to tell us what was going on while they were flying around in their private jets and their huge carbon footprints. Hypocrites, hypocrites, hypocrites. All right, let's switch gears again. This time we're going to talk about pyramids because there was a discovery that was made. Cosmic ray imaging finds hidden structure inside Egypt's Great Pyramid. Scientists using an imaging method based on cosmic rays have detected a large and enigmatic internal structure in the last of the seven wonders of the ancient world still standing, the massive Great Pyramid of Giza on the outskirts of Cairo. Researchers announced the discovery on Thursday, but said they did not know the purpose, contents, or precise dimensions of what they are calling a void or cavity inside the pyramid, built as a monumental tomb around 2560 BC. To peer inside the pyramid, the scientists used an imaging technique called muon tomography that tracks particles that bombard Earth at close to the speed of light and penetrate deeply into solid objects. They said the newly discovered internal structure was about 100 feet long, located above a hallway measuring about 155 feet long, called the Grand Gallery, one of a series of passageways and chambers inside the immense pyramid. The researchers said it constitutes the first major inner structures found in the Great Pyramid since the 19th century. What we are sure about is that this big void is there, that it is impressive, that it is not expected by, as far as I know, any kind of theory, said Mehdi Tayobi, president and co-founder of the HIP Institute in France, one of the leaders of the study published in journal Nature. We opened the question to Egyptologists and archaeologists of what could it be, added Haneh Helal of Cairo University. The Great Pyramid, looming alongside other large pyramids, is a towering achievement, remarkable for its simple beauty and colored grandeur. The emblem, one of the great civilizations of antiquity, it soars to the height of 479 feet, the tallest structure built by humankind until the Eiffel Tower in Paris in 1889, and boasts a base measuring 754 feet. It was constructed during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu or Cheops. The findings come from a project called Scan Pyramids that relies on non-invasive scanning methods to probe the internal structures of the pyramids of ancient Egypt's glorious Old Kingdom period and understand how they were built. We're not doing this mission in order to find hidden cavities, he said. Muon particles originate from interactions between cosmic rays from space and atoms of Earth's upper atmosphere. The particles can penetrate hundreds of yards into stone before being absorbed. Placing detectors inside the pyramid can discern cavities within solid structures. So pretty darn fascinating. You know, for a long while the talk has been that there has been these kind of things inside the pyramids, other mysteries to uncover, and it seems that that is what we are discovering, and that's awesome. Completely awesome. Now, as we go into this weekend with all of the alleged activities that may occur with Antifa, with all of the possibilities of arrests that could be going on, with all of the challenging energy, we need to prepare ourselves and to be protected as we go out into the world. So I'm bringing up once again one of my favorite passages in this regard, the armor of God. This is Ephesians 6:10 through 18. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that 90 seconds you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore put on the full armor of God, so that when that day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything to stand, stand firm then with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all of this, take up the shield of faith with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation, the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, and pray in the Spirit on all occasions with all kind of prayers and requests. With this in mind, be alert and always keep on praying for all the Lord's people. There you have it, my friends. There is a spiritual battle taking place. I've told you who I believe Donald Trump is, that he is here from God, certainly playing out the role of Archangel Michael in this battle against the multi-headed beast. We are here to support all of that as God's children, as those who are here to assist as we take back this world of darkness, filling it with the light it needs. That's it. I'll be back next week, my friends. Till then, I love you. Keep loving each other. Have an awesome weekend. Be safe. Peace. I am out of here.